Good morning, everybody. I'm taping this notice to everybody on my YouTube account. I normally wouldn't do this, but I'm really not happy. So first of all, people are complaining about all the ads. First of all, you should know that YouTube put ads on every channel, whether they're monetized or not, because they needed to make money during COVID. So a lot of the ads that you're watching have nothing to do with me. That's YouTube. Number two, people are complaining that I've got sponsors now. I do 12 videos a month now on YouTube, and only 4 of those have sponsor videos in them. If you don't like those videos, skip past them. I don't know what else to say to you. And then somebody wrote to me today, between your merching and you're putting up your father's book, I'm so disappointed. This is a money grab. Really. You know, Megyn Kelly does those same kind of sponsorships every single show, probably making 6 figures for them. The whole point of this was to build something for myself since I'm not at the hospital anymore. A money grab? Do you know how much YouTube pays us per video? Let me show you, in case you're unaware. YouTubers earn between 0.01 and 0.03 cents per view, which is like $10 per 1,000 views, if you get that many views. So for you guys to say that this is a money grab, I hardly make anything on YouTube. And the third thing that I wanted to point out to you guys is I was really taken aback by some of the comments, because do you guys go to work? Those of you who work, do you get paid to go to work? Do you know how much time and energy it takes to collect the stories, collect the pictures, do the speaking parts, do the editing, upload, do more? I mean, I'm sitting at this desk for 6 to 7 hours a day doing these videos. So you got a lot of nerve to say this is a money grab. This is not a money grab. Okay, I just put up a video on Saturday for my Patreon talking about the aviation and something else. And I provided pictures. And if I had put that kind of video up on YouTube, I'd have been taken down immediately. I would have been massively censored like Trevor Colt. So my point is, I work really hard on my channel. I worked really hard to bring merchandise, you know, cups with Finn and with my tagline, and I've let you guys into my life and into my home, and I would expect after 3.5 years a little bit of better treatment than what some of you have written. Comments like that in the future will be deleted. I'm just not going to tolerate that anymore. For those of you who did it, shame on you. So Patreon, just FYI, I want you guys to understand that Patreon is voluntary. If you don't want to follow me to Patreon, you don't have to. But it works well for me that I only do 12 videos a month now on YouTube. Will I leave YouTube completely? No, not completely. But I'm not putting all my content up on YouTube anymore. Just not happening. Right. We have a lot to cover in today's video, and now it's going to be super long. So let's jump in and get there. We're going to start off with Princess Eugenie and her husband, Jack Brooksbank. They were with their 2 sons, August and Ernest, in Jamaica with a bunch of friends. They were having a New Year's break in the Caribbean. Ernest is 13th in line to the throne, which pushed Prince Edward back to 14th in line to the throne. That's the kid that I saw in the Netflix docuseries. And of course, there's his new brother. All right, moving on. Next up, we're turning our attention back to Zara Tindale, still in Australia, and she decided to go shopping. But man, when she goes shopping, she goes shopping. First, she was in a more what they call down-to-earth street center with different price points than the other shopping center that she was seen at, where they have the luxury items, you know, the super expensive items. And this look is how I look when I find a good deal. Of course, this was the more expensive items. We're looking at an LV purse, Louis Vuitton. There was Prada, you know, all that kind of stuff. Yep. And a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us everything she was wearing. Moving on. Next, we're on to the Duke and Duchess of Gloucester, who visited Tewkesbury, and they were there to meet with people that were impacted by recent flooding. There was a ton of flooding, like the pictures were horrific. The flooding occurred last week, and a lot of people had to be evacuated from their homes due to it. So the royals went and met with council members, local emergency services members. They were also joined by representatives from the EA, which is the Environmental Agency, the City Council, the County Council, the Fire and Rescue Service, and the Severn Area Rescue Association. And from there, they were able to hear all the experiences from all these people and how all the responders came in and were able to help, pulling up the carpeting and all the things they had to do. These homes, they're trying to save them because they're 18th century cottages. Wouldn't that be a shame if they just became, derelict? All right, moving on. We are going to move on now to Prince William, who went to Headingley Stadium and presented Rob Borough with his CBE, along with, of course, with his wife and daughters. And of course, his daughters were there. They practiced how to curtsy. But he received his CBE for raising awareness of motor neuron disease after he was diagnosed in 2019. And he presented him with the medal still in its box. And he told the former athlete that his legacy and his efforts in campaigning are going to live on because everybody was so proud and was following his case. I think that's lovely. Now, William also put a medal around the neck of his friend named Kevin Sinfield. He is a rugby coach, and he really caught everybody's attention because he picked up Rob and carried him over the finishing line of the inaugural Rob Burrows Leeds Marathon in May. How touching is that? Now, of course, they then took William on a tour of the stadium. And while they were touring the stadium, Rob told William how he met Zara Tindale, William's cousin, and her husband for that podcast where it was revealed that his nickname was One Pint Willie. And William laughed. You got the nicknames out of him, and he apologized for that. All right, moving on. Moving back to Princess Anne, I already showed you pictures that she met the president of Sri Lanka and gave him a letter from King Charles. But of course, more pictures came out and I had to show them to you. You know how I am. But beyond that, what you're noticing in these pictures is that Anne is wearing the white gloves. And they're saying that that is a very glitzy tribute to Queen Elizabeth because that's what Queen Elizabeth used to wear all the time. She used to wear the white gloves. Absolutely true. It didn't even occur to me, but that's right. That's what her mother used to wear all the time. And I do think it adds a touch of, class. All right. Next up, we're going to the next day. Princess Anne went to watch some landmine clearances at the Halo Trust and resettlement site. She met community leaders who resettled on the land following the successful clearance of the mines. And she arrived by helicopter and got some beautiful flowers. When she got to the actual site, she got the namaste, and she and her husband got lotus flower garlands and, all of that wonderful thing. And then she put on a very heavy protected vest, and she was given a private tour from the perimeter of an active minefield near a northern town named Jaffna. And it's being cleared by the Halo Trust using machines. I find that very interesting. Now, of course, Anne and her husband got a briefing of their work, of the charity's work, before they went out to the site. And apparently this area that they're in was the forward defense line in the Civil War. And that's why they were so entrenched in it. And there were so many landmines out there. They said it was absolutely brutal. But 280,000 displaced people have come back and have been able to stay there. Now, next up, the two of them, Princess Anne and her husband, went to the Jaffna Public Library. This building was apparently set on fire by the Sri Lankan security forces and state-sponsored mobs in 1981. They toured the library, which was one of the largest in Asia, and it housed over 97,000 unique and irreplaceable manuscripts and parchment books before, of course, it was burned down in 1981. The burning, according to the article, has now been marked as an act of genocide. So they toured the library and they heard how significant it was to the community. And of course, while they were there, they met people from the fields of art, education, and culture. Just as an FYI, I was really surprised to read that this area still has a heavy security presence and that Jaffa remains under the occupation of the Sri Lanka military. And there's tens of thousands of troops stationed all in the region and the northeast of, it's one of the most militarized regions of the world. I was completely unaware of that until I read it in the article. Wow. Next up, Anne got back on her chopper and she landed in the city of Kandy and she went to the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic. This temple is supposedly the primary Buddhist temple in Sri Lanka, and it is the most significant and is home to a tooth Buddhist who they believe is their deity. Princess Anne was wearing white because they said white was the mark of respect. She had to remove her shoes. She was then handed a plate of jasmine flowers by a cleric there who's also Buddhist. She was then ushered, the report says, into an inner sanctum, which is only for the most important guests, and she made her offering to the relic in private. Now, the tooth is supposed to be Buddha's left canine. It's kept in 7 caskets and paraded throughout the streets of Kandy every 5 years during a 10-day spectacle. Very interesting. Just as an FYI, this temple is apparently, if you can believe it, the one where this picture was taken of the Beatles. Same place. Also, while they were there in Kandy, they received a gift from the acting custodian from the temple as well. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why she's known as the hardest working royal. All right, let's move on now to Harry and Meghan. And we have to say that one of the positive things that's come out from this whole awards thing with Harry and Meghan is that they've shown how the award industry really worked. Sabira Lohan on Twitter pointed out that they really did show how the awards industry operates. She points out, rightly so, that these award ceremonies are nothing but multi-million-dollar businesses with only a few people actually deserving the awards. Look at Harry and Meghan. They gave money, $100,000 donation to NAACP. Suddenly they get an award from them. Meghan becomes friends with Flo Glow, she calls her. Suddenly she gets an award from her. By the way, since her award, you haven't seen a picture of them together. How about the award they run for fighting systemic racism in the royal family, only to turn around a few weeks later and claim there was no racist in the royal family? And thanks to Harry and Meghan, we know these award ceremonies are not honest. And the charities use people to get publicity and money, and that's all there is to it. Well, moving on, it's coming out now that Meghan's co-stars, it looks like, don't want to work with Meghan anymore. Can you really blame them? She's making it sound like it's her show and she's the only reason why it's big, when the truth is she was number 6 on the call list. The way her, co-workers there behaved at the Golden Globes said a lot. And of course, we found out later on from Neil Sean online that the reason Meghan really wasn't at the Golden Globes, according to him, was she wanted to give the award by herself. She didn't want to be up there with her co-workers. And they said, no, you can't do it by yourself. And that's why she didn't show up. I have no trouble believing that. And let me explain why. We've all heard about this absurd aviation award that supposedly Harry's going to get. Well, once again, Neil Sean has come out and he has had a lot to say. First of all, Meghan is demanding to be the one to present the award to Harry. She wants to be on that stage. She wants somebody looking at her. Apparently, it's not going to go over well. And as I've told you guys the other day, I believe she's going to go, show up dressed like Diana and try to Colts play Diana. Let's move on now to what I consider to be our big story for today, the Invictus Games. As you can see on Twitter, they're asking for donations. We need money. We're oversubscribed. We need money. Then they put up this thing that says, if you're curious about where the money's going, because people, of course, were writing, I want to know where my money's going. I want to know how it's being spent. And then you get these pie graphs. And the reason they were putting this up is because people were flat out saying, I'm not giving you any money. You've got money. If you're spending your money inappropriately, why should we donate? But as you can see from these pie graphs, although they claim that they're completely transparent, they're actually not. The pie graph doesn't really break down where the money's going. Well, also on their website, as you can see, it says this charity does not raise funds from the public. So if they don't raise funds from the public, why are they on Twitter asking for donations? So a lot of people put up comments like this person on Twitter. People want Invictus to stop paying for Harry and Meghan's private jets, hotel rooms, clothes, security. Maybe they wouldn't be short of money if that was the case. And this person wrote, how do I know that the money isn't going towards Harry and Meghan's travel plans? But what she wrote at the bottom really got me. There's also the matter of stolen valor. And this should bother you. You can't control her, so why haven't you cut them loose? Spot on. Why is she marching in short shorts in front of military people? But this comment really took the cake for me. Why on earth would anybody give you a dime after witnessing Meghan Markle's 89 wardrobe changes last year? So you get nothing from a lot of people until you start putting the veterans first like you used to. And until then, bugger off. Spot on. And I think that's really important to point out that they just got $30 million from Canada and they're still short of money. Yep. Now, one person said to the Invictus Games, where's the transparency on compensation redirected to the Invictus Games from Harry's commercial contract with Netflix? And this was their response. The Duke of Sussex and Archwell Productions are redirecting all compensation they would receive for this project to the Invictus Games Foundation. Did you catch the wording? Very interesting. Are, have, are. In other words, it's a promise not yet fulfilled and no guarantee that it will be. Does that remind you of anything? I use pledge and donate synonymously with one another, springs to mind. All right, you guys. So I would apologize for a rant, but I'm not going to. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to hit that button. Don't forget to leave those comments. If you've donated to my coffee fund, thank you. Don't forget that there's a link in the description box for my merchandise and my father's book. And as always, you guys, have a great day.